Hey HBs, you're listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while giggling at our own antics and deep diving into our love of the genre, one book at a time. We hope you're staying safe and healthy and as sane as possible right now in your houses. It's a rough time, but we're sending light and love and laughter your way. Listen, I promise this isn't turning into an Akoshmerv podcast, but let's look at this as a little mini-series, shall we? Y'all shouted until we relented on doing book 3, and now we are doing book 3. So, let's get into part 2 of A Court of Wings and Ruin. I don't know how many parts there will be. Here we go! Hello, Erin. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Wonderful. You have some penance to pay, though.
Penance to pay?
Yeah. You need to apologize to the listener.
We agreed on banter, and now you're taking it to a totally new place.
I am not.
Penance to pay? What?
Yeah,
apologize?
The listener, Erin's about to apologize to you because I have no notes, and it is her fault.
This is the most melody shit you've ever said in your life.
Here I am.
How is it my fault
personal responsibility
that you didn't take notes this week? Please let me know.
What did you do after the recording last week, Erin? What did you do?
I told you about some trash television that I've been watching.
Oh, boy, did you. And you even went as far as to say, I've been watching this trash television and I don't think I have anybody else to talk to about it. And so, and I was like, oh, here I am. I'm going to be a good friend. And I was, because I watched 2 seasons in 1 week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep,
it just feeds your soul, though. It's like, just, you guys, that was going to be my lady love this week, is just, like the raccoon you are, just get into that trash.
That's right.
Eat it up.
I am a trash panda when it comes to this stuff. I'll tell you that much. But it will derail your whole life if you have an addictive personality and can't stop. Like, if you're the person who's offended when Netflix is like, are you still watching? Then you shouldn't. Maybe.
Mm-mm.
You should think about your choices.
Don't dive into like the deep trash. Well, I'm not gonna apologize for telling you about TV shows. I'm not gonna do that.
Fine. We all make choices. We all have boundaries.
But you've read this book several times, so that
2 or
should
3
help.
times. Yeah.
I read this book last year after we read Akoshmerv 2.
Yeah.
And then this week I sat down to read the second. So the book is divided into 3 parts.
Right.
The first one is Schmurfenberger, and then the second one is Cursebreaker, and then the third one is The High Lady.
The High Lady.
And so we were going to do part 2, Cursebreaker this week.
Yes.
That part is like 600 pages. Part 1 is like
own novel.
Yeah, part 1 is like 150 pages.
Uh-huh.
Part 2 is like 600 pages.
Yeah.
And then part 3 is like another 150 pages. Like, that's bullshit.
There's
Maas,
2 novellas.
Maas.
And a very, very long book in the middle. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I was rereading it and I was like, oh, I can just like casually flip through this and probably get the gist of the plot. Because I've already read it and I never reread a book.
Right.
But I kept being like genuinely surprised by plot twists, which is not a good sign. Because I did not get all the way through part 2 this week.
Yep.
And so if you go further than I do on this podcast, I'm probably going to be like, what happened?
Really?
And then who was it? Which, we're sorry,
Bodes
guys.
well.
We're
Bodes
operating at the highest capacity we can right now.
It's quarantine times. And I super don't care. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
I feel like we're back at the beginning when we very first started. Like, the mentality I currently have is the same mentality I had in, like, November of 17? 18? When did we start this?
It was October of 2017.
When I was like, we can say whatever. No one's going to listen to this.
No one's going to listen. We're just shouting into the void. It's a private
mentality
conversation.
I have, but that is not the reality of
That's
the
not what it's
situation.
like right now. And you know what? We're still committed to giving you quality content. We just can't keep promises about scheduling or
the quality of the content.
Erin!
Sorry. Whatever. I think we're better when we don't know what the hell we're talking about. Man, that like pirate lesbians frogs book is one of my very favorite episodes, and I still have no fucking clue what happened in that book. So
listen, we are affable buffoons, and that is okay.
Down to the point where I just called it a pirate book, and it's not. I just thought it was a pirate book up until we read it, because it said captain on it, and it had a sword. So I just assumed it was pirates, and then it wasn't.
Yes.
I even put it on the list when I said genre, it said pirate times.
It said pirate
that
times.
That wasn't the case. It was frog times. All right.
Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready? Here we go. Chapter 11.
I'm turning on my Kindle right now. Curse Breakers. We're on a camping trip. We're on a fun road trip through the Autumn Court.
This is, in my notes, it says Lucien and Feyre do a big danger camping road trip. So
it's very cold, though.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. It is like a little road trip in the middle, but it's so cold. They're sleeping in the caves. They're so cold all the time.
They have to go through. They've just killed Dagden and Branna. They have Schmurger's hand into Schmurgerdom. It is no longer recognizable.
Right.
And they've gone through a door into the Autumn Court.
Right.
And so it is fall, you guys. They've got their boots on. They've got their pumpkin spice.
They're eating Macintosh apples wherever they go.
It is all
it's
basic
Yankee
all
Candles
the time.
as far as you can see.
That's right. They've got those infinity scarves on. They're doing it. Okay.
So this is where Lucien's from.
Yes.
He's the youngest of a bunch of redheaded autumn boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're all basically what are those fighting fish that should be alone in
piranhas?
bowls?
Oh, beta fish.
No. Beta fishes.
Yeah, and they're kind of jewel tones, those beta fishes, so that works. These boys are jewel toned.
Yeah, they are.
So they're always like trying to fight to see who's going to be the High Lord of the Autumn Court.
Yeah, they want to be the head boy of the Autumn Court.
So, okay, back in the day.
Yeah, way back.
Lucien had like a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then the dad did murder that girlfriend. And the brothers participated in that kind of mostly. And then he was going to get myrtleated, but then they just kicked him out of the Autumn Court. And that's how he ended up in the Spring Court with Tamlin. And then him and Tamlin killed two of his brothers in some kind of happenstance that I'm sure there's more details about in the book. Yeah,
that's true.
That's for true.
Some of those middle brothers.
Yeah, so we're worried now. We're going through the Autumn Court. If his dad...
he's definitely not welcome there.
Right. If his dad or his brothers find out, they're going to come murder him.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're traipsing through those autumn woods, and they're rolling around in piles of leaves.
They're mostly just doing a big cold. They're huddling together. There's a lot of like sharing between the two of them of like, this is where Lucien's like, I totally knew the whole time, Feyre, that you were totally a spy, but I didn't want to tell anybody because if I told Tamlin, he was going to freak out. And if I told Tamlin, you were going to freak out. And if you freak out, then I can't marry your sister.
Then I can't get access to my mates.
Which I'm big into.
Yeah. Oh, also, listener, Feyre has no magics because she got Fey-baned.
She got Fey-bane.
That's the thing. She can't use any magic. I think Lucien also doesn't. He doesn't have as much magic as her to begin with. His brownie batter bowl is like a rice bowl. It's very small, and so
this calls back to a brownie batter analogy from 1 year ago in episode 2 of
it's
this.
Stuck in my brain. You make it a baked good analogy, and it's going nowhere.
Was that an analogy we made, or was it in the book?
Did.
That was me.
That's an Erin original. Yeah.
That was a really good analogy I made. It
was.
Good job, Erin.
Good job, Erin.
We've got to move. All right. So, one of these cave nights, guess who shows up? Those brothers.
Those fucking brothers. There's like three of them. Three of them was what Erin said. And so they've got her by the throats. And they're... grabbing on Lucien.
Yeah, and they fight real good. And one of the brothers is like, yeah, rumor had it that you guys ran off together and like betrayed Tamlin, and now you guys are doing sex on each other. So that's a great rumor that's flying around all the High Kingdoms. That's good to know.
Yeah. And Feyre uses some fire magics.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be Eris, but I'm pretty sure... No, Feyre doesn't have any magic. They get away somehow. How do they do that?
They do a fight. There's a fight, but they get away. And then after that, they do some more camping in the autumn trip. They climb up a mountain.
Big mountain.
There's snow on it because they're getting closer to winter.
Just like the seasons, we're going from autumn into winter.
Right. They're getting close to the winter.
We're going to have our mulled apple cider, and we're going to have, like, the wintry offerings.
Uh-huh.
Erin's going to make some of those candied cranberries. I'm sorry, I've gone to a goofy place.
We've got to move. All right. So then, like, the next cave night, like, Lucien wants Feyre to tell him all about Elaine, her sister, who he mated to, and she talks about how Elaine worked in her stupid garden because it's the only redeemable quality about Elaine. She did tend to a flower one time. She's so fucking delicate and stupid. I hate Elaine. I don't like Elaine. I don't like, number one, Nesta. Hate Nesta.
Yeah, she's way up there.
Hate Nesta.
Number one on the
2,
hate list.
Elaine.
Elaine. She's fairly useless. Yep.
Yeah. But then, on the other side, I want justice for Tamlin, justice for Lucien. I have some controversial justice for the hewn city, justice for the Court of Nightmares.
It's true.
Justice for Eris, I think. I don't know.
Don't come here for like wishy-washy content, okay?
No.
You come here to find out what
you come here for the molten lava hot takes. All right.
Okay, so they can't stop shivering. They can't make any fires anymore. Like,
they gotta huddle.
Yikes.
Yeah.
It's very Ice Planet Barbarian, which I've also been doing ad nauseum. Okay.
There's a lot of Ice Planet Barbarian in this, because the fated mate situation in
that's what I'm saying.
The Akoshmervs is very similar to the Kuis. That it's like this bond, but you can also like decide not to go with it, and all that. And then it's kind of based on like who would have the best babies a little bit. Yeah.
So they're trekking along, right? And they go over this like big frozen lake. Or something, and she and Lucien are thinking they're home free. She's starting to feel a little bit of her magic's coming. She can feel her ice powers tapping back online a tiny bit because
they get stronger,
closer to Winter
in
Court.
The court that she's in.
Yeah, she's already used some fires. I know she has. Anyway, and so
based on nothing, Melody is sure that without magic, Feyre has already used a fire.
Sternums. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's so
this is how it's going to be, guys. We're going to guess a lot about the plot. We're sorry. We tried really hard.
We're sorry, but this isn't going to be all of part 2. I should warn you, this is probably going to be more than 3 parts.
No, we're going to do this. Taskmaster. So guess who shows up when they're on this ice thing?
Those
brothers. They're back. And Feyre does, it's just like Elsa. She does like a palm and all the ice is like, and then she does some fire, and then the fire's like,
well, because they're shooting fire at her, and they're
but like she doesn't quite have all her magic yet.
Yeah, and sentries or somebody shooting arrows at him too, and so Lucien says they're like running full tilt, and Lucien is like, "We gotta zag," and then like pushes her, and so they both start weaving in and out of each other's paths. Zag.
So then
and then Eris starts melting the fucking ice.
Yeah,
he melts it with his fire powers because he's number one son, so his brownie batter bowl is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So so now she's she's ice powering it up, just like Elsa, trying to recreate the ice that's melting beneath their feet. And then those brothers like winnow closer or something. Yeah. And they do a big grapple and they do a big knife fight.
I just remember at some point, like one of them gets her by the hair and is like dragging her by the hair. Yeah.
So she kicks his ass a little bit.
Justice for Eris later on, I think.
I think maybe we need some justice for Eris. I don't know.
But not right now.
Definitely not right now. But he might be a bit of a Rhysand.
I don't know.
Oh no!
But like maybe like a sexier Rhysand that is kind of like all bad.
How dare you? Oh my god, maybe
you know
he's
what I mean?
Bad. Oh.
Yeah, maybe he's not secret good. Maybe he's like bad, but like not so bad like, that you can't do him.
Okay enough that you can hop right on that D.
Okay enough.
He's got just the tiniest amount of reasons that make it okay.
Yes, just enough reasons to make it okay. Do we think that all of Baron's Autumn Court sons are gingers?
Yeah.
Or do we think that some of them might be just like a little, like brunette enough to not?
Oh, do we think some of them might be a little bit auburn?
Yeah, like maybe a little auburn. Like maybe he's not just like flaming red hair, Eris.
Yeah, let's say that if you want to.
Cool.
Yeah,
there are certain things that I need to imagine. Okay.
Sure, this is definitely up to interpretation. So he's got her by the hair.
Yeah,
and
he's
Lucien
dragging
is
her.
Fighting off his other two brothers. And then all of a sudden, a shadow.
Shoosh!
Hits the ice.
It's Azriel, the shadow singer. No, but it's Cassian, the muscle warrior. And then it's Azriel, the shadow singer. And then they're like, unhand my lady. Because she's their high lady.
But they don't say that. They say my lady.
Yeah.
And then Eris is like, go fuck yourself. And then Feyre thinks back to all her training. Oh, because you guys, she's got a flaming ball gag in her mouth. And flaming ropes. Eris can do some shit. Are you ready?
Wait, flaming ropes and a flaming ball gag?
Yeah, girl.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Is that for real?
So, of course it's for real. Of course I remember
justice
it.
for Eris.
Yes,
I'm all over it.
Eris. We need an Eris book. Yeah, so he's and it even says like it doesn't burn her, but it's warm enough that she knows it could burn her if Eris wanted it to.
Hot.
Justice for Eris. So she like maneuvers her body around to kick him right in the nuts and gets away from him. And then she undoes her ropes with her ice powers while Cassian's fighting Eris. And then Cassian stabs Eris right in the gut. And they're about to murder up all the Baron sons. And then Feyre says very quietly, enough.
No, do not.
And then all of them, they just stop. Everybody
because
stops.
she's in charge of them.
Because she's high lady. And that's what she says. She says, oh, hey girl, I should kill you for what you did just there, but I'm not going to. I'm going to spare your life.
I say.
That's right. I'm High Lady of the Night Court. And so they just get back to your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, High Lady doesn't exist. And she looks him square in the face and she says, it exists now. And she takes away what's that called? The cloaking mechanism on her High Lady tattoo.
Glamour?
It's a glamour.
Is it?
No, yeah, it's a true blood glamour. No,
okay.
It's the same.
And then they see all her knight tattoos, and that does mean High Lady.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so Azriel grabs up Lucien, and Cassian grabs up Feyre, and then Cassian My heart beats for Cassian.
Oh, mine too. That's why I hate that he's in love with that bitch, Nesta. I hate it. I hate it. Ugh.
So they're flying away, and he says something snarky. I don't remember what it is. But then he looks
basically
at her and
just
goes,
like, hey, girl.
And then, he looks at her and he goes, hi, Feyre.
Yeah.
It's a big sweet. So they take her to Moore, who's been hanging out in the Winter Court, and they embrace, and then they all go back to Velaris, where Rhysand is supposed to meet them. So they go back to the townhouse, and Lucien is trying to figure out what the fuck is going on because he has no idea where he is.
Poor Lucien.
Lucien thought he was being taken to the Night Court, the Hewn City. And so all of a sudden, there's like this goddamn townhouse, and there are kids just like in the street laughing, and he has no idea what's going on. And so I don't remember exactly what happens, but he looks at her and he's like, you're High Lady of the Night Court, right? And then from across the room, just casually leaning against a door frame, she hears the most beautiful voice she's ever heard in her life say, that she is.
Yeah.
And then it's so cute because she just like falls to her knees sobbing, and she's so relieved to see him. And he goes over to her and they're kneeling knee to knee. And there's a moment though later on where he licks off her tears, and I'm still not with it.
Yeah, I get it. They love each other. Rhysand is hot. I am all for Rhysand all the time. I am all for this couple. I am for it.
I'm hearing a but coming on.
This made me uncomfortable. Because she sees him and she like runs to him and like falls on her knees, and he like scoops her up, and like they're like hard making out, and it's like her hands are in his hair, and it's like all your friends are there. All your friends are there. Like, just play it a little bit cool. Then they immediately go upstairs and fuck. Like, it's not, they don't even be like, hey guys, like nothing. Like,
he scoops her up and he says, everybody needs to be somewhere else right now. And so they start hightailing it out of there. And then she goes, do you want to talk about what happened in the spring court? And he's like, I can think of a lot of other things I'd rather do right now. And then they do actually end up talking. They go into the room and she's like, how are those stupid
I get
sisters?
That. Yes, understood. But what is poor Lucien during this time? Where is he?
Who cares?
He's dirty and like
Who
wounded.
cares?
And he doesn't know these people. Like, he doesn't know these two Illyrians or the more. And if he does, he only knows them by their like very scary reputations. He's in this random townhouse in a city where he has no idea. What is this? Is this the Night Court?
Yeah. Amren shows up too, and Amren's like,
there's a fucking monster in a skin suit walking around. And like the only person that's there that he like knows is just upstairs fucking the Night King. Like, poor Lucien. There is a series of injustices for poor Lucien.
This is not a book about Lucien. I don't give a shit.
No, but he's her friend, and she should have been like, hey, can somebody, Lucien, this is the gang. This is everybody.
Right.
Could somebody get him some clean clothes? Because Lucien doesn't get clean clothes until like months later, it seems like. She could at least have extended some common courtesies to like Lucien, who saved her ass many times. Also tried to murder her a couple of times, but you know.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, that was book one. No one even remembers book one.
Nobody even remembers it. I certainly don't. So
I don't even remember this one, clearly.
Okay, so they go upstairs and they start chatting. And it's a big, sweet scene. Like, it is a big, sweet scene. He's got her up against his chest, and they talk and like reconnect about the things that have been going on a little bit. She asks about her sisters. There's a bunch of stuff. And then
she tells him about Schmurger.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts, where he's like, I've heard about Schmurger's hand. Like, was that you? Who, I assume that was you? And she goes, she fell.
She fell. I don't know.
Goes, it must have been some fall. Hot.
It's really good. And then he's like, did you kill Dagden and Branna? And she's like, yep, super murdered him up. And he's like, good. And then he says that she's covered in filth and sweat and blood, hers and other people. And so she can choose.
Confusing magic.
I hated it. She can choose for him to either lick her clean or go have a regular civilized bath.
But he also does like a cleaning magic on her, and she's like, "You just did cleaning magic," and he's like, "Yes, but it doesn't like get rid of all of the layer of the filth." It's like, what? This is the most conveniently magic place in the world. It's just like whatever you want is the answer is magic always. Yeah. Like you can't make her all the way clean. Come on.
Also, why can't she goes, "Oh, there's only room for one person in this tub," and he's like, "A design flaw I'll fix tomorrow." And I'm
tomorrow?
Like, what kind of power do you have, Rhysand? Do you have the power to move mountains and control thousands of people's minds?
You can literally make thousands of people forget about your city. You can't make a bigger bathtub? Fucking...
It's good shit.
You can't remove the essence of the filth, Rhysand.
So she like puts on a little show, and she's like wiping up her nipples, and she's rubbing on her clit or whatever in that bath, and he's trying real hard to keep his cool. And then she gets out, and they go back over to the bedroom, and does he carry her there? I don't know what happens. I don't know. Anyway, he starts playing with her a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, I could start here," and like plays with her boobs a little bit, and he's like, "Or I could start at your mouth, or I could start, and then he finger bangs her a little bit to be like, I could start
I just want you to know, I was not about this sex scene because all I could think about was Lucien. I'm not kidding.
Oh,
all I could think about was like everybody downstairs just being like, "Well, that was weird." I'm like, I felt so awkward about this sex scene. I was just like, you haven't even said hi to your friends. I just, awkward. Sorry.
So anyway, he's playing around with her, and the only way she can get him to like break his cool, and she takes his hand and she puts it on her heart, and she says, "You're mine." And then they do a big giant make out, and then like the rest
wings are involved.
Yeah. He unfurls his wings.
His scrotal wings.
Yes, his scrotal wings. And then she slides back on the bed, and he does a hesitate so that she can, choose to definitely still have sex with him or whatever. And it's a big consent boner.
Whatever. Yeah.
And then as the rest of the sex scene happens, they keep saying variations of "you're mine" and "never again." Like, never again will we be separated. And so she comes, and then she hits that spot on his wings, and he comes. And can I just say, like, that is so convenient.
The wings
Wouldn't it
thing?
Be amazing? Yes, to be like, all right, I'm done now. Brink. And then you just know it's his go switch. Like, incredible.
Yes, but the wings thing is so confusing to me. Like, I think wing sex is super hot. Love reading about it.
Yeah,
love a wing sex. Love a wing scrotum. Great. Wing balls. Outstanding. But there are so many wing things that happen in the books that I'm just like, ew. Those wings are sensitive. Like, either they're like balls or they're not like balls.
Well, he flies with her to the House of Wind, and she says that there's a little bit of hair that's like out of her braid from the soft breeze that Rhysand allowed in through his shield. So I think they always shield themselves from the wind
when they fly.
And then it's not like they're getting, insect splatter on their scrotums. That would be horrifying, right? But it doesn't happen because they shield their flight.
We'll get there. It's not just flying. It's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things. So at the end of this, he tells her that, yes, he missed sex, but more than that, he missed having her as a best friend. And like, it was nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then they go see those stupid sisters. Erin.
Okay.
They're not doing great, these sisters.
It is their choice to be not doing great. It is their choice.
I mean, in their defense, #justice for these stupid sisters, they've been through a trauma.
I get it.
Whether or not they
come
out better in the end, it's a big trauma times, Erin.
In this book, it seems to be very much an allegory for like a sexual assault, that their bodies were not theirs. Something happened to them that they did not consent to. But the thing that happened to them was objectively awesome. And they need to get over it. They need to get over it. They need to get over it.
The outcome was objectively awesome, not the thing that happened to them.
Sure, maybe it hurt when they were in there. I don't know. But, like, I'm just saying, they are awesome now, and they need to lean into it and be awesome.
Fair.
And I'm not saying that to take... It is, in some ways, when they describe what happened to Nesta, it is a beautiful allegory for not having agency or not consenting to something, and then having to deal with the fallout and what people expect of you afterwards. And there's a part of that is beautiful. However, pushing that allegory aside, you are now super hot, super awesome, super powerful fairy, and you only get like 1 month tops to sit around in your room and be pissed about it. I'm sorry.
Right, I agree with you. And it's been about a month.
But they're still doing it. I'm sorry. These dumb sisters, I can't.
So, Nesta is prickly. I guess is a really nice way to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Cassian is trying to get her to go train with him, and she absolutely refuses. And then she's like, I'm not the one you should be checking on. I didn't have anything to lose in the mortal world. You should be checking on Elaine because she's broken and she lost everything, and like a burp. And that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, what Elaine lost, we find out later. She like dodged a big giant bullet.
She did.
But
right now she thinks that she lost her one true love. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go into Elaine's room, and she's a shadow of her former self.
And her former self was a shadow of a person. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Her whole personality was demure gardening before, and now her whole personality is sitting by a window. So we've downgraded in what Elaine is.
We certainly have, yeah. And Feyre was gonna ask her if she wanted to see Lucien, but she chickens out at the last moment because Elaine is like doing so not well. But then Lucien is standing in the door. Oh, and he overhears Elaine say, "We were going to be married next week."
That's a great Elaine impression.
I want to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a big heartbreak. And then they take Lucien to his suite, and they,
but
he
already
give him some
knew that. Feyre already told him that on the camping trip. This is also where, like, isn't this where Feyre and him, like, stand on the balcony and Feyre tells him, like, the whole story beginning to end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So Lucien now, like, knows all. As far as, like, all the shit that happened in book 2 and the night court and stuff, which would have been good information for Lucien to have known previously, before all these bad decisions were made. But now he knows. Now at least he knows.
Now he knows. So yeah, they take him to his suite, and they're like, we'll get you some clothes, and, you know, you can go down to the city if you want. Like, this is, like, you're not a prisoner. You're our guest, but you don't go up to the sisters' floor, and you don't take the sisters anywhere. And, like, you have no contact with the sisters unless we give you permission. And he's like, okay, cool. See you never. So then they go.
Think this is where they might offer him clothes, right?
That's what I said.
Okay. Just know that he has still been in the same outfit this whole time.
Yeah, and she said that when they were laying there in bed, like post-coital, that they watched the sun, like, stretch across the floor or whatever.
Know.
It's been hours.
It's been a long time. Lucien, would you like some food? Lucien, would you like anywhere to be except for awkwardly downstairs listening to us hump each other? Like, it's a lot.
No, they took him out of the house. They all left the house.
All right, so then they go see Amren, right?
Yeah. So they go see Amren, and she's pissy. Amren is pissy. She's like, really annoyed. She's upset that everybody keeps on checking on her. She's just trying to do a scholar right now.
Mm-hmm. She's trying to read those books.
Yeah, she's trying to figure out like ways to protect the wall and ways to keep the wall up and like a bunch of other shit. And nobody like really has the capability to help her with that because the magic of the cauldron is so old that nobody really understands it except for maybe a giant monster wearing a skin suit.
Right. And so we've got these like 2 books now. The one that was in the
Book of Breathings.
And then the other one
together.
that we took out of the cabin.
So what?
And then they went together.
So she's trying to say that both halves of the Book of Breathings are together. And the book keeps whispering awful nothings to everyone.
This book is a bitch. It's like number 1 is Nesta. Number 2 is Elaine. Number 3 is this book.
It's true. It looks at Feyre and it says, "Hello, sweet-faced liar."
Some books you read, this book reads you.
It's true.
Proud of that joke.
Boom, boom.
Swish. Quality content right here. So that's what Amren's doing. Is she trying to figure out that book?
Yeah, and they start downloading a bunch of information on Feyre / to us.
Yeah.
Uploading a bunch of information. Sorry. Opposite.
I don't know if it matters.
So what we find out is a bunch of history about Hybern and Prythian and all of that. And so I guess a good way to think about Hybern is this has been the lead up to the Second World War. Like, instead of Germany having mandated economic sanctions that they are like, they're like drowning under, instead of that, Hybern has lost all of its trade routes and it's lost all of its slave labor, and it didn't do a lot to like regain any of that footing.
It's slave labor being like lesser fairies and humans.
Yeah, mostly humans, right?
Yeah.
So they've just been festering off on their island. And so, of course, nationalism and scapegoating has taken over. And Rhys and Azriel and all of that haven't been able to find any cracks in the ranks of their military or their civilian population, simply because it's been, 30 or 40 years, or, just like but after World War I and before World War II, it's been that much time of the population like setting their eyes on one outside enemy.
Right. And then there was this whole Aramantha thing in the middle too.
Yeah, that was sort of a test run for how to break Prythian and the wall and all of that.
So their whole thing is they want to blow up the wall so they can go down there and get all those humans and make them slaves again and stuff.
Yes, that's right.
So that's their whole thing. So how Hybern is like selling people on this is like, hey, remember slaves? Remember how great that was? You can have slaves again. And everybody's like, ooh, enticing.
Make Hybern great again.
Yes,
is
make
how they're
Hybern
doing it.
Great again.
That's what they're saying.
Mahaga is what they're saying. And a lot of people are buying into that. And so they've got a bunch of countries that we've never heard of, our Team Hybern. And all those countries are like super rich and super lots of soldiers and also Jurian. The human eyeball.
Jurian. Yes, that leather-clad stern brunch daddy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angie J.
And those human queens. Those human queens are on their side.
And those human queens.
Operating against their own interests so that they can be immortal. Which, did that even work? We don't know.
We don't think so.
Yeah. So what we found out is like Rhysand has been doing a lot of just like personal flying over Hybern, which is like, Rhysand, Stop. You're the king. Stop flying around doing recon in Hybern. You've got a lot of people with wings that work for you.
Not to mention I'm sorry, Rhysand. I know that you literally in this chapter said, contrary to what we showed in Hybern, I'm actually kind of okay with this. You never are good at this. You have never, since you got into Feyre's vagina, you have not been good at anything except being in Feyre's vagina. That's it.
She does a big confuse. As soon as you're in there, you get brain scrambled and you're no longer good at whatever it was you were previously good at. So we've got that. Asriel did a big fly to the island that Miriam and Drake are on, and that's the jilted lover of Jurian. But, like, they're not there anymore, so they either, like, died or left. They don't know.
Yeah, it's, like, grown over in its weeds, and they say to themselves, we really probably should have set up some sort of signaling system.
Yeah, a walkie-talkie would have been a great idea with these guys, but we didn't, so we'll never find them ever again.
We'll never.
And then we realized that that's why Jurian is sided with Hybern, is that the Cauldron knows where Miriam's at, and he wants to go smooch her or kill her, or I don't know. He's obsessed with Miriam. We don't know. It's not going to be good for Miriam, whatever it is. She doesn't want to get smooched or killed by Jurian.
Yeah, and so Amren says that since both of those sisters were Cauldron made, they can use their help and their powers to, like, maybe help the cause and, like, save this wall or whatever.
If only either of those sisters had ever helped anyone with anything in their entire selfish lives.
Literally anything.
That would be useful.
And Feyre does a big hard no. She's like, absolutely not. I got them involved last time, which, like, no, you didn't. And look what happened. And Amren looks her dead in the face and she says, you sound like Tamlin. Boom! Pew, pew! So then Moore is like, don't you ever say that fucking shit again. Like, you need to apologize to her right now. Moore almost, like, takes a step toward Amren, the 15,000-year-old monster.
More than that, like millions of years old skin suit monster.
Jesus. And then Feyre goes, she's right. Oh, she's right.
I mean, good for Feyre for, like, always standing up for her sisters who have never done one nice good thing for her in her entire life. I would have disowned these sisters so long ago.
Oh, yeah. I would have not talked to them. I would have moved out of the whatever hovel.
Yeah.
That's probably not true. After I got taken by the Fairy King, I never would have talked to him again.
Oh, no. No.
Like, never. I would have kept on providing for them for a while. But,
I don't know. Yeah.
Listen, it's tough because once you're in a family system like that, it seems normal.
No, I don't want to, like, real talk. I don't know what I would have actually done in Feyre's situation.
I know.
But God, has she given every single thing to these sisters, and they are so ungrateful. Always. They're so fucking selfish.
And Nesta is combative.
Yes.
Nesta,
at least Elaine, that's why she's my number 2. At least she's, like, tacit selfish. At least she's like low-key selfish. Like, Nesta is just like a bitch always. I hate her.
Okay, so then she's like, all right, I'm going to pull a note from Rhysand's book, and I'm going to say that it's their choice whether or not they want to help. Which, like, Feyre, they've shown you what their choice is going to be.
Yeah.
This needs to be a command. Anyway. Yes. And so Amren looks at everybody and she's like, you need to get Nesta out of the fucking house. You need to get your sisters out of the house so they stop wallowing.
Right.
And Rhys goes, I don't know if Velaris is ready for Nesta Archeron. And Feyre looks at him and snaps and she goes, my sister is not a feral animal. And it gets real awkward in there.
Yeah, but I love how they make up later. But I guess we'll cover that when we get to it.
Okay. So then he says that they need to get the High Lords together because if the numbers that Feyre got from those Twincest kids were correct, then they're going to need every soldier that Prythian has on offer.
Right.
Not just, the Night Courts.
Right. Okay. So then they have dinner. There's a lot of attention. Wind. Yeah. They do their wind dinner. They always do. They love these wind dinners that they do they all fly up to the mountain and do a dinner party. There's a lot of attention paid to the wardrobe, which usually I don't like, but in these books, I love a wardrobe discussion. I love it. Lucien is like decked out to the nines.
Dressed to the nines.
Spring court fashion. They dress for dinner. Feyre is wearing like a tunic and a leather pant, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
And a little sparkly flat.
Yeah, like sparkle flat. Amren's in like a little crop top and pants. She's got a crop top going.
All gray all day.
In her flowy red dress. And,
gown.
Cassian and Asriel wear whatever they wear. Yeah.
But it's got wear alluring leathers. Oh, it's got
cutouts. They just wear whatever they always wear. Yeah, it's got like sheer panels, Moore's dress.
Sexy cutouts.
Yeah. And then Elaine's wearing whatever bullshit she's wearing. And then
Elaine doesn't come.
Sure. But she's wearing something somewhere, I'm sure. And then Nesta is wearing this like devastating, awesome, like serious, like the Starlight sort of gown. I think. It
is. It's like a silvery gray, delicious. And the book says she looks devastating. And Cassian agrees, you guys.
Oh, God. Cassian agrees. Do not fall for this toxic woman.
They're
hate
mates,
it.
Man. I know.
If they were mates, it would have locked in already. It would have.
I think so.
Oh, God. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to read their stupid book. We'll have to read their book and hate it, but we'll have to read it.
No, we're going to love it. Are you kidding? We're going to come around on Nesta. Just prepare yourself. You're going to come around on Nesta.
With podcast as my witness, I will never come around on Nesta. Hashtag if you don't chop firewood, you don't deserve Feywood. Period. The end. Never.
Erin, I'm telling you that with Sarah J. Maas at the helm of this ship, you're going to turn around on Nesta.
I will turn around for a lot of hashtag reasons. I will turn around for a lot of reasons. I will never turn around on Nesta. Because what these books do is they confuse being a mean, bad person with being a strong person. And I think that happens a lot in life, is if somebody's like prickly and rude and like dismissive and selfish, people are like, ooh, what a strong woman. And that's not what a strong person is. Just because you're an asshole doesn't make you strong. And Nesta is a selfish asshole. And I hate that because of that, we're supposed to think she's so strong that she was able to like take chunks out of the cauldron. And now she's like the world destroyer of death or whatever. And she's never done anything kind or good for anyone. She's never been strong, ever.
We find out at this dinner that it's still quid pro quo with Nesta. So they're at dinner.
I wasn't done with my rant, and I want you to know that.
I'm so sorry. Please keep going. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just want everyone to know that I could rant forever about this. When they were back in that hovel, Nesta could have been strong in any way, and she was
like Feyre
not.
Was strong. Yeah.
Yes. If anyone should be taking chunks out of the cauldron, it's Feyre, not Nesta.
It's true.
Hate Nesta.
Hate her.
Yep.
Erin's on record.
Yep.
HBs, J.R. Ward's 18th installment of the Black Dagger Brotherhood is out now. The Sinner is just waiting for you to sink your teeth into. Here's the description. Sin has kept his side hustle as a mercenary a secret from the Black Dagger Brotherhood. When he takes another hit job, he not only crosses the path of the vampire race's new enemy, but also that of a half-breed in danger of dying during her transition. Jo Early has no idea what her true nature is, and when a mysterious man appears out of the darkness, she's torn between their erotic connection and the sense that something is very wrong. Fate anointed Butch O'Neill as the Destroyer, the fulfiller of the prophecy that foresees the end of the Omega. As the war with the Lessening Society comes to a head, Butch gets an unexpected ally in Sin. But can he trust the male? Or is the warrior with the bad past a deadly complication? With time running out, Jo gets swept up in the fighting and must join with Sin and the Brotherhood against true evil. In the end, will love true prevail? Or was the prophecy wrong all along? One reviewer said, J.R. Ward has a way with words that keeps me on the edge of my seat. And Harlequin Junkie raved, mind blown. The Sinner was a high-octane novel that answered a lot of questions and saw some things finally come full circle. Romance, deceit, power games, and friendship. J.R. Ward pulled out all the stops in this thrilling installment. I'm including buy links in the show notes, so make sure to check out The Sinner today. All right, so Rhysand says that they need to have a meeting at the Court of Nightmares because they need the Darkbringer army, and apparently they need Kyr's permission. I still do not understand why Rhysand doesn't just kill this motherfucker and take over everything.
What is the Court of Nightmares? What is it? Why is it? Why do we have it? What is the point? Why do we have to have a shitty, ugly court? Why? I get it that he wants to keep Velaris secret so that no one ever touches it to hide it. Yeah, but just no. Didn't he smush everybody's brains in the whole world to make him like immediately forget about Velaris? Or he tried to at least, but some worked and like some didn't.
I feel like
I don't know.
People still know.
Yeah, Kyr knows about it.
No,
yeah, the queen. But there was something with the queens that he wasn't like allowed to make them forget.
Wasn't because some, of the Book of Breathings.
There was some caveat with the queens.
Yeah, so the queens know. Hybern still knows. Everybody still knows.
There's a handful of people that know. But I get why he wanted to have 2 courts. But why does one have to be so shitty? Like,
I know.
Why does he keep Kyr around? I don't get it.
Yeah, why does Kyr need so much power in order to like keep the thing shitty? You know, like anybody can make something shitty. That's easy to do. Well, put a different shitty person in charge. I don't understand.
The only purpose of the Court of Nightmares is to make Rhys kind of a bad boy.
Ew, ew, ew. Do that throne dance or do that throne dance.
That is the sole purpose. Like, Sarah J. Maas Maas, I've heard that it's actually pronounced, has bent over backwards and twisted herself into a pretzel to make sure we can get Rhys on a throne in like a dark, like, I will flay your skin off, I'm a bad person place. And here are all my concubines and like all of that bullshit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work like for the plot, but it does work.
Yeah, I was telling Michael about my predicament today. He was like, so what's the issue with recording today? And I was like, listen, I've read it like twice, but it's a big complicated, it's a big plot hole, and it's a big complex. And he looks at me in the face and he goes, you have never worried about a plot hole. And I said, oh, no, Erin worries about the plot holes.
It's not like keeping me up at night, but like, but I do lose sleep over it. That's how I feel. So there was something with like the treaty with like the Darkbringers that like he would like they would make the High Lord the High Lord. So Rhys is their High Lord, but like he doesn't get to command their armies. Is the treaty?
He doesn't get to tell them what to do at all.
But like he is the High Lord, and like when he goes there, he's like, I own all of you,
and yet he doesn't. Listen, I have no idea why or how this works. So they need to go to the Court of Nightmares to convince Kyr to like give his Darkbringer armies, and it's a whole thing. And then Mor flips out and she's like, no, my dad's gonna say no.
Right.
And the Darkbringer army was like the worst of the worst when it came to
they did a lot of pillage
civilian populations last time. Yeah. And Rhys is like, oh, there are going to be new rules this time. And Mor looks him dead in the face and says, you're not going to be in a position to make rules. Like, what is his position then?
What is Rhysand? He can literally reach into all their brains.
Any of their brains.
Like, imagine him doing, like, a super complicated sword fight. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, he can control thousands of people's brains. That he's doing
winnowing
a swoosh,
at the same time.
And winnowing in, out, in, out, in, out. So, like, how could he not make not make them just, like, no rapes, guys?
Why not?
No rapes. When we get over there, don't do no rapes.
Any rapes.
How is he not in a position?
I don't know. Okay.
This is the problem with making somebody all powerful. Is there's no more conflicts in your books, and then
we're basically
really
Captain
hard.
Marvel at that point.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So then Feyre decides she wants to learn to fly, and Azriel, bless his sweet, sweet soul, says that he's going to teach her because he learned late because he was super abused by his dad.
Yeah.
All right. And then Feyre asks Nesta for help, And Amren offers to train her because there was this whole scene earlier at the same dinner where Nesta was like, "What is you? Why do your eyes glow like that? What's the matter with your blah, blah, blah?" And like showing no fear whatsoever. Everybody else is like shrinking down in their chairs. Anyway.
Yeah. But there was also a moment, I mean, that's kind of a badass Nesta moment. But then there was also a moment when Mor was like, "I really like your dress." And Nesta was like, "Your dress is fucking ugly."
Yeah.
I hate Nesta.
She did. Okay. Oh, yeah. So Amren offers to train her because they're basically two peas in a maid pod. And so then Nesta looks at everybody and says, "I will only help you protect this wall that I find incredibly important because I've always cared about human rights, literal human rights. I will only do that if you promise to kill Hybern and all those queens." And they're like, "Yeah, girl, we're like, that's certainly
that's
on the
kind
list.
of the whole point of the whole thing. Yeah. So sure."
Then, what's her name? Feyre asks her for her testimony in front of the rest of the High Lords because they need to make sure that all the High Lords understand what the fuck actually went down. And Nesta like shoots off from the table and she's like, "Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Yeah.
I am not going to beg a bunch of people who wouldn't even hesitate to kill me when I was immortal to help save the millions of mortals that are on the other side of the wall."
I hate her. And
Nesta makes no sense. And she's like, "No, this is my story and I am not gonna share it with them."
And I also feel like the whole idea of, "Nesta, we need you to give your story so they understand how horrible Hybern is." Like, what's she gonna do? She's gonna get up there and be like, "Hey, I was a human and they threw me into the cauldron and now I'm a super fierce space princess." And they're gonna be like, "Oh, we feel so bad for you. Hybern does need to go." No.
I know.
Like,
anyway.
So from go, that's a stupid idea. But the fact that Nesta won't do it, like just makes her even worse.
Yeah. Okay, so then Feyre and Rhysand take a walk along the Sidra.
Also, do we talk about how they're going to have all the High Lords over for dinner?
Yeah.
After the thing? Okay, cool. Yep.
Yep. I said the invitations were going out.
Sorry. Well, because there's that whole thing where Lucian's like, "Are you going to hide her powers or not?" And they're not sure what they're going to do with that because they think that if the other High Lords find out that Feyre has all the powers from all the courts, that they might murder her.
Yeah, he looks at them dead in the face and he's like, "My father in particular, if he finds out that she has any of his firepower," which we find out later isn't even his, we'll get to it. Like, he'll go side with Hybern just so that he has the opportunity to kill her and get it back. So maybe be careful about who you show the powers to.
Also, during this dinner or whatever, or I don't know where we are. We're still in this same conversation where there's this big info dump. May I read you a paragraph?
Please.
Nesta's eyes shot right to his face. She spoke quietly to me, to all of us, even as she held Cassian's gaze as if he were the only one in the room. "By the end of this war, I want them dead, the king, the queen, all of them." This is what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
But she says she wants to do it herself.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then somebody is like, "Yeah, if whoever's gonna, you can do the killing
Amren
blow."
says you can have the killing blow.
To Hybern. Sorry, it was longer than I thought it was when I started reading it. But anyway, I thought it was the part where she said she wanted to do it. They were like, "Here, Nesta, you can be the one to kill the king of Hybern when the time comes. Because you've suffered the most, Nesta, from the king of Hybern." All right, we'll move on. Sorry. I'm sorry that this is just becoming me how much I hate Nesta. All of them have very good grievances against the king of Hybern.
Absolutely.
Oh, God. Okay, all right.
Okay, so they're walking along.
They're doing their walk on the rainbow.
And the thing that I remember the most about this is that two things. One, Feyre's like, "I made a mistake asking her in front of everyone." And like, how do you deal with all of these decisions as a high person? You know, like, how do you know what the right decision is? And he's like, "It's trial and error. It's something that you learn over time. And like, we can do that as a team." And then she says, "I'm really sorry about snapping at you earlier." And he's like,
this.
"I know." He's like, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, I didn't mean to undermine you in front of everyone, basically.
Yeah.
And he takes her in his arms and he's like, you didn't undermine me. You questioned me in front of our family.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're High Lady too. And I don't know, like, it's our family. We should be able to disagree and debate and be a team anywhere, honestly. Like, I'm cool with doing this in public as well.
It's just one of those things that Tamlin would have been very mad at her about, undermining him. And Rhys is confused as to why she's even apologizing.
Yeah, why she's been thinking about it.
He's like, oh, that's why you've been weird all afternoon.
Right.
Such a refresh. He's such a hero.
He's such a hero.
Rhysand,
so
sexy night king.
And so then she makes the decision. She puts up the boundary and she's like, in front of the public, I want us to be a united front. We can question each other down the mating bond or like, you know, Demon Tea style, but out loud in front of people, we are a united front. And then in private and in front of our family, we can, you know, it's basically no holds barred, except for the, you know, the rules of love. The, you know, campfire rules in your relationship. Only productive communication with these two, Erin.
It's so beautiful.
I love it.
Did we get a morning sex?
Do we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Feyre gets up because she's going to do a training with Cassian.
Yeah.
And then when she gets to the training, we kind of get like a recap of like, he's not the first Illyrian that's made me sweat this morning. And it's really cute. She talks about how Rhysand in the morning is unhurried and lazy and wicked. It says when his hair is still mussed with sleep in his eyes and he has that glazed, purely male gleam in them. Oh, it's cute. But then she finds out that Cassian is training her super extra hard because he's pissed at her.
He's super mad.
Because of some shit that happened back in Hybern months ago.
Yeah.
He's taking it out on her now? Today?
Yeah.
Confused?
It's a big Cassian move. Yeah, he's like, you should have told all of us that you were our High Lady when we went to Hybern because everything would have been different.
Were I Feyre, I would have been so pissed. Because his whole thing is, his whole thing is, we knew that you were Rhysand's mate and like our friend and whatever. But if we knew you were High Lady, we would have like done more to protect you. It's almost like, since you didn't tell us that you were High Lady, we were a little more cool with you dying than we would have been if we had known. I would have been pissed. I would have been like, I'm sorry, if he hadn't made me High Lady, I wouldn't be a member of this family?
No, I think, okay, the way that I read it was in Hybern, because we didn't know about your position, we were letting you make choices as an individual. And making choices as an individual who is only Feyre is very, very different from making choices as High Lady, who you owe responsibility to us as much as we owe responsibility to you.
See, I saw it as like,
I read it.
When we knew that you were mated with Rhysand, you were his lady and you were his to protect. This is what he says. You were his to protect.
It is what he says. Yeah.
But when you're High Lady, you are ours to protect. And I would have just been like, I'm sorry. Like, I had a whole different view of what this family was.
Right.
I mean, I think Feyre would have protected Cassian with her life. Maybe that's the problem, that she's too cavalier with her health and safety.
That's exactly his problem.
But
he's like, you should not be laying down your life for me, no matter how much you love me, because it's my job to lay down my life for you. You are High Lady.
But like, look at Rhysand just flitting all around the night court and like doing all kinds of,
I'm like, why aren't you right up Rhysand's ass all the time? Yeah. And he tries to say like, oh yeah, we had words about it, but it wasn't about Rhysand always making the sacrifices, which is Feyre's biggest problem with Rhys, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And then she goes flying with Az, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So she spouts off her wings. She sprouts them out.
Yeah.
And he's like, the first rule of wings is not to let them drag on the ground.
Which also, like, if they're a scrotum,
this is what I'm talking about.
On the ground, yeah.
As if they have to consciously think about not dragging them on the ground. That should be like the first, like, ouch, oh, never make that mistake again. Like, that should not have to be a lesson. That should be like, don't scrotums on the sticks and the rocks.
Here's my other theory, Erin. You know I've got 72 of them. My other theory is
about the wings.
About everything. Like, the moment you're like, what about this problem? I'm like, my theory is I'm gonna explain this right away.
Sarah J. Maas is twisted in a pretzel to make the Court of Nightmares work. Melody is twisted in a pretzel to make scrotum wings work. Let's hear it.
Yes. My theory is that they're only incredibly sensitive because she always talks about like a couple of spots. She's never just like rubbing her hands all over.
Oh, you think
wings.
There's like a button on there?
Yes, I think there's like a line down like one of the sinew. You know what I mean? Like right where like the bones are or something. There's a spot that she just like caresses and he detonates. You know?
Gosh, yeah.
So I think it's not an all over thing. I
think you're right. I think that might be the solution. It's just I wish that were in the book. You know. I wish that weren't solely from the mind of Melody. That's all. Okay. All right. So, your flying lesson
tendency.
flying is hard.
Is this where Azrael is like, these are beautiful wings? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I just like made them or whatever. And he's like, no, you've got an artist's eye. Oh, and Azrael also has to be like, may I touch them? Because it is a big no-no to touch an Illyrian female's wings.
Yeah.
Because they're
you see why
or
they're
something.
Clit wings. That's why.
They're clit wings. It's a clit wing. No.
And he has to be like, don't drag it on the ground because they're sticks. They'll get infected.
You know, listen, sometimes I get so tired. I just drag my clit around. It's fine.
I'm tired.
I have so much in my purse.
Well, I know there's sticks and stones, but like, on that note,
okay,
we're going to a library now.
Oh yeah, the library. Oh,
I have a very hot take about this library. I don't know if anyone's gonna like it.
Oh no!
All right, tell us about the library, Melody.
Erin!
Yes.
This library is under the House of Wind.
Yes.
And it is a private, super private library because all of the priestesses in it, they're dressed just like Ianthe. However, they're all survivors of different forms of abuse or assault or, you know, all the badness. It's sort of a program in the Night Court where if you know the look on Erin's face, if you decide that you need some time to heal or whatever, you can join up with this priestess rank and you can go into this library and you can have what's it called? A
sanctuary.
Purpose. Yeah, a purpose and a sanctuary. You can dedicate yourself to being in the library and taking care of the books and, you know, all of those things. And then you can decide to stay forever, or you can just treat it as sort of a temporary apprenticeship and fuck off when you feel like you can face the world again. And Rhys came down here a lot after Under the Mountain because do you remember how he spent 50 years being sexually assaulted?
Yep.
So he came down with those priestesses too, and it's been a sanctuary for everyone. And the priestesses are the people who make the choice about who gets to come in to the library. So scholars have to apply essentially to like get access to the works. And if the priestesses aren't comfy with you, you don't get to enter their space. It does not matter. Stop being an asshole, maybe. And then you can have nice things too. And I think it's beautiful. And now Erin is going to take over.
It is beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'm so nervous.
I am too. But I think I'm right. It is beautiful. And when Feyre says, priestesses usually are in temples, and Rhysand says a library is a kind of a temple, that's
true.
Beautiful. I loved it.
I loved beautiful.
It. However, the mission here is Feyre and Rhys are going to this library because they need to read a bunch of books to find out information about the wall. So they're going to personally
they're finding
look
out, like,
through
the history of the wall
for several hours, some books and stuff. Mm-hmm. We meet Clotho, the priestess librarian who has had her tongue cut out and her hands smashed.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Feyre says, why didn't they just kill her? And then Rhysand gravely says, they thought it would be more fun to smash her hands. And I'm like, Feyre, you should know that one, because you did just do that exact thing to somebody because you thought it would be more fun to smash her hands. But whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she deserved it. Schmurger deserved it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Make a temple. Send these women there. Have this sanctuary.
Uh-huh.
What he did was he took all the scholars that worked in this library and sent them to other less important libraries throughout Velaris or whatever, and then put these women, who many of them are mute or do not have use of their hands or whatever, in this library. And their mission is to go read a bunch of books to find out about the wall. Don't you think it might have been useful to have librarians in the library?
Well,
that could give them information. Like, listen, you could just go up to a librarian and be like, hey, we're looking for information. This is what librarians are. We're looking for information about the wall. Would you mind pointing us to the best resources and telling us what you know?
Librarians.
Have they?
She gets them a bunch of books.
Listen, I just feel like
she puts all those
go
books
ahead
on the
and do have that temple for them. But maybe have professional librarians in your library. It would come in handy when you need information, so that you, the High Lord, don't have to sit there for hours trying to find the information in the library. That's all I'm saying. But it is beautiful. But I just feel like maybe it should be librarians who have been to librarian school.
Especially since what they're doing is playing footsie.
Yes!
For most of this library trip.
My God. They're like, okay, we need to really concentrate and find out that information about that wall. And then they're like, okay, we'll do this for an hour and then we'll go have sex. And it's like, this is important.
This is really fucking important.
Yes.
This is life or death.
If only you could say to your librarians, hey guys, would all of you mind mobilizing and finding out information about the wall for us over the next few days?
Go bang it out.
We need to bang it out because we're the king and queen of this place. If only, but I'm sure half the librarians can't read or write or speak or see or whatever because they're not librarians. I'm sorry, they're not librarians. It would have been so useful.
Yeah, I feel like
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. They should have a beautiful temple where they can go and heal, and that's beautiful. Just keep a couple of scholars in that library. I don't know.
Okay, but we also find out that there's a big old monster at the bottom of this library.
Library monster.
Also, I'm like, you're taking a bunch of people who have just had a trauma and then putting them in the same space as an ancient monster.
Just make them a nice temple. Why does it have to be here? Why? Make the temple a library. Sarah J. Maas, if you want that thing of libraries are temples, that's so beautiful, Sarah. Make it a different library temple.
Yeah, there's a big monster in there. So Cassian
flew down no one there. Even knows what the hell
Nobody
this monster
knows
is.
what it is. Nobody knows what it does. Nobody knows. Cassian sort of knows maybe what it looks like, but he refuses to tell his High Lord anything about the monster.
He can't. He's so paralyzed by fear of it.
Yeah, he's so scared. And then they leave. What happens next?
I think next is when we go to the Hewn City. Oh no, while they sorry, I just saw my note that said it might be nice to have librarians that could communicate this information to you. I think that they find out, this is where she suggests that maybe they could get all the monsters.
Yes.
Is when they're at the library.
Yes.
She's like, maybe we don't have armies, but maybe we could convince all these monsters to be on our side. Because Amren said that if they ever put the book together, that some monsters might come.
Well, and Amren didn't Amren already tell them that, like, if she were to go into the cauldron or like do a specific spell, she would become her old self,
right?
And,
something
like
that.
Never remember them and just like lay waste to whatever was in front of her.
Right.
So yeah, so Feyre thinks to herself, "Oh, we got all these monsters. Let's get them on our side."
So then that's when they go to the prison.
Yeah. Cassian takes her to the prison.
So her thought is, let's go talk to the bone carver. Remember the bone carver? And
I love the bone carver.
Yeah, that little boy bone carver.
Hashtag I love the bone carver.
What a sweetie.
What? Seriously, I was reading this book again this time, and I was just like, oh, we get to see the bone carver.
I like the bone carver.
And I was so excited about it, except that he's supposedly one of the scariest things that's ever hit the planet.
But, like, not as scary as his sister and brother. He's still, like, the least scary of his triplitsies.
Yeah. Yes, except that he wasn't as scary as his sister until his sister got tricked into taking a mortal form.
Right.
And now she's slightly less scary, I think.
Right.
Sorta.
Yeah. His sister's the Weaver. Remember the Weaver and all the burnt hair?
The Weaver of the wood.
All that greasy burnt hair that she had to sift through to get her engagement ring.
Uh-huh.
God.
Yep. Fuck that. Man, I would have broken
That was when she was Rhysand's to protect.
That's
true.
Just
sent her in there with that Weaver.
Okay, so they go to see the bone carver.
Yes.
And Cassian is with her. So they go all the way down into the thing. I don't know what he appears to Cassian as, but I think he might appear to Cassian as that monster from the library.
Oh, you think so?
He goes incredibly pale, and he says that that's like the scariest thing he's ever seen.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. And then to Feyre, he appears as this like 7 or 8 year old dark-haired boy with violet eyes, you guys.
I can't figure it out. Who is it? That was the last book. Feyre, you're so good at riddles. You're just like, gosh, that brain on Feyre.
Oh.
Also, that's the other thing about going to the library to read books all day. It's like Feyre learned to read like 5 minutes ago. She probably reads at like a 3rd grade level.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I know.
And it's just like sex sentences about Rhysand because that's all he taught her. So she's probably just staring at the book pretending to read.
High Lord. Yes.
All right. So he tells them that his sister is all the shit we just told you about his sister being the Weaver and his other siblings being more powerful than him, because they're saying, hey, if you join us in this war, we can send you home maybe. And he's like, I don't want to go home. My home probably doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And if I leave this prison,
I'm here by choice.
Yeah, my sister and brother are probably going to destroy me. They're gods of death. So I like it here. I'm good.
Right. I got myself locked up here on purpose because they couldn't find me here. And they're like, ugh, oh no. And so by the end of this, he says if they get him the Aurora Borealis, then...
Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. What is it? The Ouroboros?
I think it's Ouroboros.
Okay.
Ouroboros.
No, it's Ouroboros.
Ooh, boo-boos.
It's a
There's a lot of O's.
Mirror that tells you things about yourself.
It's like if the mirror of Eris said were like the worst thing you've ever thought of.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's like, if you bring me that, then I will definitely be on your side.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, cool. I've heard that's in the Hewn City. This is super convenient. Can't wait. And then they leave.
He definitely tells, he tells Cassian some stuff about Nesta. Because he knows he's a god of death. And so are his siblings. And he heard about whatever happened with Nesta. He felt whatever happened with Nesta in that cauldron. And he keeps being like, don't you want to know? Don't you want to know what she took?
Yes,
and they keep being like, not really. We do want to talk about this war, though. It's pretty great. So Nesta did chunk off a piece of that cauldron when she was in there, and that chunk was a death chunk, probably.
Yeah, she tells us later on that she made it give her something. She was like, you're taking this from me, and so I'm taking this thing from you.
Which,
Whoa.
I mean...
And that's actually why the cauldron needs so many naps right now.
Oh my God, which means that the only thing you have to do to conquer the cauldron, which is the god of this world, is just be a bitch to it. That's it.
That's the power of her bitchery.
Yeah, I guess.
That's how serious it is.
All right. Do you want to go to the Hewn City?
I do.
Okay. We're there. We're here at the Hewn City. They didn't put out thrones. Rhysand says he's going to murder everybody.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Yes.
They're all really sexy.
Yes, they get really sexy for the Court of Nightmares.
Yeah. Nesta is in this black, slick, oil spill of a dress. And has more cutouts than we've ever seen in our lives. What's up?
I'm sorry. She goes and sees her sisters before they go to the Hewn City. And that's when Elaine does this bullshit of I can hear the sea, I can hear the fishes, I can hear the worms. Because Feyre's like, what do you want, Elaine? Do you want a garden? I can get you a garden. Right. What do you want? And she's like, well, I hear the worms because I can hear the sea. And I can hear your heart, fishes and the soil and the stretching of the roots. I'm like, fucking, Elaine, I just asked you if you wanted to garden. Just be cool about it, a little bit. Some dirt. Yeah. But then she talks to Nesta, and Nesta says, she says she's never going to train with Cassian. Oh, I hate Nesta. She's just above it. She's not going to do any training.
Right.
And Feyre's like, well, why wouldn't you want to be stronger? If you want all these people to be dead and you want to kill them yourself, why don't you want to kill them yourself?
You should learn how to kill them.
And it says, Nesta inspected her nails. Why bother when somebody else can do it for me?
Yep.
And I would have slapped her in her stupid non-firewood getting face in that moment. All right, now we're in the Hewn City. Sorry.
Yes, and they're all super sexy.
Yeah.
Oh, and Rhys and Feyre had already talked about what role they were going to play. Am I your concubine? Am I your this or that?
Yep.
What did they decide on? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think she's just going to be the hot high lady. Yeah, equals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What they are, just dark and sexier. They're just going to be themselves, just bad though.
Yeah, bad ones. So they don't put another throne out, and so he pop her in that throne?
Yeah, he does.
He stands and he sits, he lazes on the arm maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's something like that.
Hot.
Ooh. And then Nesta and Amren go off to inspect some powerful objects to train Nesta on how to find or look at powerful objects.
Mm-hmm.
And then they immediately go have a meeting with Kier. And Kier is like, you want my Darkbringers? That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I want access to Velaris. No more of this bifurcation. We get to go to Velaris.
Which, fair. Hashtag justice for the Court of Nightmares. It is terrible there.
It's awful.
And this is unjust. That there is half of the court that's great and has a great art scene and good food and restaurants and stuff and children laughing in the street and the sun shines all the time. And then there's another half that's just shitty all the time. It's shitty, it's wet and dark and bad.
It's got some really good snake sculptures. Really good carvings of dragons and snakes.
But there's kids over there in that Court of Nightmares too. They've never tried the great spicy chicken over in the Velaris.
I know.
I know. Yeah. It was shitty.
Spicy chicken, and it was spicy lamb blood,
and it made her feel alive again. Why doesn't anybody in the Court of Nightmares get? There's shitty people over there.
Nobody gets to see the Rainbow City.
Exactly.
Over the Sidra,
the art,
the
street,
theater.
The theater times. Listen, Kier sucks, but I'm sure there's awful. A lot of people over there in the Court of Nightmares that don't suck, and they don't know anything about that joy and love
and the next
wonder.
Generation. Could certainly be better if they had access to after school programs.
Wouldn't that be nice if there was some enrichment programs for the children in the Court of Nightmares, Rhysand? I just hate that there's like half of his court he just does not give a fuck about. And then it's like they want access to like the nice stuff, and Moore is immediately like, no. It's like, Moore, you are this guy's daughter. You could have very easily be sitting at that table on the other side, having never even seen this city.
I know.
Really? Just because you hate him? Really? Anyway, whatever.
Anyway, so he wants access, and Rhys is like, cool beans, can do. There will be some limitations, and we'll chat about that later. And then Kira's like, also enters stage left. And then all of a sudden, Eris is in the house.
Hot bad boy. Eris.
He's got his auburn hair. He's got his
amber
bondage.
And probably muscles. And bondage flings. And he's probably got just enough reasons. We find out in this meeting. Because he, at one point, was betrothed to Moore, and then Moore went and had sex with Azriel so that she wouldn't be a virgin anymore. And then,
Cassian, not Azriel.
Sorry, I got them
Notably
confused.
Cassian,
yes,
not
poor
Azriel.
long-suffering Azriel.
Oh, God. Poor Azriel.
So she did go have sex with Cassian so that he wouldn't want her anymore, and then he, like, left her in a forest or something?
So here's no. Justice for Eris, here I go.
Okay.
So she goes back to the Court of Nightmares, and she's like, bow chicka bow wow, fuck you, dad, I just fucked an Illyrian, boom.
So you can't marry me off.
Yeah, and Eris is like, oh, yeah, I don't super want to marry you anymore, so I'm just going to very politely break off this engagement. And then her dad and a bunch of other people beat the ever-living fuck out of her until she's like near death, and then they drop her on the border of the Autumn Court.
Oh, right.
And the brothers like see her mangled, awful body and then like turn tail and leave her there instead of calling for help or whatever. And then somebody else finds her and she gets saved, and then blah, 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 blah.
That's how she ended up here. She got saved by these guys.
Yes. And so Eris like looks at everybody, and because Kier leaves the meeting, correct? Yes.
At one point he does.
Yeah. And then Eris.
Why? What could possibly be Kier's motivation for, I'm going to leave the meeting for a little bit, except that we need Moore and Eris to discuss this without Kier in the room. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fine.
Maybe he has to like go talk to his Darkbringers. Or something.
Maybe he has to.
Can't wait
poop.
15 minutes.
Maybe he really had to poop.
Maybe Erin. Maybe he double fisted some chickens. And he had to poop.
That's a callback to a time where Melody ate some chicken and had to poop. We talked about it.
Okay. So. Man, I hope that wasn't Patreon-only content. Anyway.
No, I think that was early on. I think we told that story so early.
Really?
Why does listener listen? It's so weird.
Listener, we love you, but you also baffle us. Okay.
So weird.
So, Eris and Moore are sitting there, and she's like, hey, have you left any bitches in the woods lately? And he's like...
He says... You have no idea what I gave up to, I guess, let you live? Maybe?
Or like went through. I don't know if it was gave up or went through or but yeah.
He said both things. I know gave up was definitely in there.
Yeah, but basically he's like, I knew the reason that you didn't really want this marriage. And so when you made that... Wow, why are words failing me lately?
Yeah, we need to be done soon.
Yeah, we do. When you made that, it's not a misstep. It's like a calculated thing where you do something.
Betrayal?
No, to like fuck something else up. Anyway, when you went and fucked Cassian, I knew the real reason that you were trying to get out of this marriage. And so I let you out with no punishment on my end. But like the point of this interaction is him saying, I know why you did that. Yeah. And she like pales.
Yes.
And then she's like, yeah, I mean, you're a bondage crazy. You like sadist pain or something. And he's like, I don't know where the fuck you got that, but like that's also not true.
Could have been the ball gag, bro, but whatever.
I mean, it might have been the flaming ball gag.
You just conjured that right up without even blinking an eye, my friend.
But Erin, it didn't actually burn her. It just had the potential to
I know,
burn
but
her.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I know, I understand.
He did that.
Understand.
That's just his move, is flaming ball gag. So, like, yeah, maybe we've drawn some assumptions from these things.
Anyway, and then he's like, and there were reasons that I couldn't save you on the edge of the woods. I can't explain that now, but I had reasons for leaving you there. Mm-hmm. That's it.
They also get on him about Lucien's murdered girlfriend. Yeah. And he makes a point to say he had no part in that, and that he was the one that arranged for Lucien to get to the Spring Court border.
Right.
And they need to lay off. And Feyre was like, how about that time you pulled my hair back in the Winter Court not long ago? And
That's
then
right.
I don't think he had a good answer for that one. But
no. I mean, he was sent to... No, his answer is, my father gave me a task.
Oh, yeah. And his brothers were there.
Court,
yeah.
Right. You complete the task. That is what you have to do.
And you did get away.
And yeah. And you got away, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, so then he's like, listen, I will back you and I will make sure that Baron, my father, High Lord of the Autumn Court, joins your side as long as when the time comes you back my ascension to High Lordness. And he is the first son, so it's not like they're agreeing to some sordid murder plot or whatever, unless, you know, Eris does a murder on Baron.
Well, they said, hey, like, why don't you just murder Baron right now? Yeah. And then Baron definitely would be on your side. For like the Autumn Court would definitely be on your side.
Rhys that. Yeah, she's like, "Why don't you just murder Baron up and put Eris in right now?" And Rhys is like, "Oh, it's so complicated.
It's too messy and
I'm a good guy now."
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that would be such a righteous murder for Rhysand to do. It'd be hot.
Baron is such an abusive asshole.
Yeah, good hot murder. Whatever.
Apparently not.
Whatever. Missed opportunity, Sarah. Anyway, then we're done. The deal is done. And then Kira comes back in for a sec. He's done pooping.
Well, and yeah. He got that chicken out.
And then Feyre's like, I want the oogly boogly bows.
Yes. Give me the Aurora Borealis. Auroras Morris Malice.
I need it. It's here and I need it. And he's like, sure.
Fine.
But
you can have it.
If you want it, you're going to have to look into it, and it shows you your true self, and you're going to go crazy. No one's ever looked into this mirror and not gone crazy.
Yeah. They either die or something.
Yeah.
Or go absolutely insane-y pants immediately.
You know who would lose her shit in this Dorian Gray portrait mirror mess?
Nesta.
Probably Elaine as well.
Actually, I think Nesta would be just fucking fine.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Would crumble.
Nesta probably knows exactly who she is.
Oh, yeah.
Elaine would be like, I'm a monster? But all I have done is nothing in garden. How dare it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Are we done?
Yeah, so she's like, oh, no, that's why the bone carver wanted that exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on getting them monsters.
But that's a good thing for the bone carver. The bone carver, like, great character. Because, like...
Love bone carver.
If you can look in this mirror and be cool, you're probably the right side to fight for.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're worthy of my fighty times.
Yeah, nice. Good work, bone carver.
Oh, bone carver. You are so hot. I think we're done now.
Are we done now?
We're done. Melody is done. Melody can hardly make words.
Good.
So.
Good. Okay.
Melody done now.
I've already spilled my lady love. It's just trash TV. Just the trashiest. And I know what you're thinking. Housewives. You're thinking, dating shit. You're thinking The Bachelor. You're thinking, no.
That's not what Erin's talking
I'm asking
about.
You to dig deep in that trash pile and go deep into I want the trash, the real trash, the MTV reality show trash, the TLC reality show trash. Just deep. Skip past the Bravo, skip past the ABC, get real deep into those
like get
extra
into
channels.
The shows where you have to think to yourself, should these producers be liable for all of the emotional havoc that is being wreaked upon these characters?
Yes.
Should this TV network be able to face some like
criminal
serious
charges for things that are happening? Yes, that's the level of trash.
That's what
that is just
Erin is talking about.
Really serving my heart right now. That might not be, it may make you depressed, and that's fine, and don't. But if you're out there thinking, what is she talking about? Say yes to the dress? No, I'm talking about real trash. Just get in there and nom 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 like the raccoon you are, and don't feel guilty about it. If you're watching trashy TV, don't feel guilty about it. It's fine.
No,
you
fine.
Didn't make it. You didn't make that TV. All right.
That's right.
Your turn.
Mine is, are you sort of a blondie? Do you have eyebrow hairs? Dye your eyebrows!
Melody dyed her eyebrows. It revolutionized her whole face, you guys.
It did! Yeah. Because I have eyebrow hairs, and I have like enough of them or whatever, but they're so light that if I don't fill them in every day with my little eyebrow wand, you can't see my eyebrows, and it's really annoying. The one downside to this is that my eyebrows were one of the only things left on my face that made people say to themselves, oh, Melody's got blonde hair. Because at the root, it's a little bit of a brown.
Mm-hmm.
So now that my eyebrows are a light brown, I do look like I have brown hair instead of blonde hair. But frankly, I look like I have a face that has structure.
Yes.
On days where I don't do anything to my face. And it has done a lot for my self-esteem and my well-being. So.
And I am a person who does not have any eyebrow hairs.
Right.
At all. I do at the front. The part that's closest to my nose. But they fizzle out real quick. I have no. Where you would have an arch.
Have a tail.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
Right.
And I did get face tattoos. To fill that in. I did get those face tattoos, though, when I had red hair. And I didn't tell the lady this isn't my natural hair color. And so my eyebrows are auburn, whereas my hair is the same color as your hair. So,
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, sometimes my fake eyebrow tattoos trick people into thinking I'm a redhead.
Ooh, girl. That's nice.
Yeah, so if you're going to get eyebrow tattoos, make sure you talk about the color with your person. Don't just assume they know that you're a dirty blonde.
Do whatever you want.
Fair enough.
Get yourself some red eyebrows.
Yeah, do it. Dye your eyebrows
pink.
Get
yourself some green
Who
eyebrows.
Cares? You're never going to see another human person again.
I know,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh,
you're trapped forever here.
Yep. In pandemic times.
Yeah, try something crazy. Do something nuts. Pink eyebrows.
Yeah. Our friend Sarah just dyed her whole hair rose gold, and it looks incredible.
It does look incredible. It looks very nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hop on that Sarah Whitney Twitter / Instagram. You can check it out. Yeah. It's nice.
Jesus Lord. Looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, dye your eyebrows.
Or,
you know what? Just do the thing that's going to make your life easier and it's going to make you feel nice.
Yeah.
Do it. Do that. Okay. You can find us on all the places. We have all the social medias. We don't have a TikToks, and we're not going to get a TikToks. So don't look for us there.
No one has been asking for that. That could be no one blank and then heaving bosoms. We will not get a TikTok. No one has said. No one has said. We are heaving_bosoms on Twitter. We're at Heaving Bosoms on Instagram. We are Heaving Bosoms Podcast on Facebook. Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult is the Facebook group. It's great. But when you try to get in there, do answer the questions. Because we kick people out all the time that didn't answer the question. You can't just click join.
We're just going to say no.
And then not answer. You don't even have to answer them right. We say, why do you listen to the podcast? Many of you have said yes. That's not an appropriate answer to that question.
Not the question.
But guess what? We let you guys in. So you don't have to think hard about it. Just answer something. What other things do we have? We have Patreon, patreon.com / Heaving Bosoms Podcast for all your extra content. We haven't served up anything in the last couple weeks, but we will. We will. And
we certainly, we do.
But we have many, many hours of bonus content on there if you're lonely and bored.
Yeah.
And the HB Reading Embrace still going on. People still embracing.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah. I think it probably is. If you want to find any and all of those links, go to heavingbosoms.com. So enjoy that. All right, everybody. Keep being a badass and love yourself. And love yourself as much as you love dragging your clit on the ground when you're tired. I'm so
tired these days. I just can't carry it around anymore.
I can't lift this clit anymore.
Sticks, rocks, dirt. Whatever, you know? These trying times. These strange trying times.
My back hurts.
All right. I love you. We'll see you for 5 more episodes on this book.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.